Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. This week we're going to be drawing hands, but in particular baby hands. People always tend to get a bit scared of drawing hands, but we're going to be using the grid system again this week, so hopefully that will make it easier. Now you need just a few supplies: a ruler, pencil sharpener, pencil, HB is all I'm using, an eraser, and some paper, and I'm just using copy paper here, but you can use your sketchbook. For this project I took some photos of my grandchildren into Photoshop and cropped out the hands and then changed it to black and white and printed them off in black and white, several to a page. So in fact there's two sets here. I'm going to use this second set this week, and maybe another time I'll come back and use the other set. If you have a sheet of acetate, then you can draw squares on it to make the grid. If not, then don't worry, you can draw your grid directly onto the photos. Now I'm going to use the acetate this week, and I'm going to tape it down with a low tack tape, and that's just to ensure that it doesn't tear the paper that I've printed the photos on. Last week we also drew a grid on a spare piece of paper which you can put underneath your drawing paper if your drawing paper is semi-transparent, and that saves you from having to draw the grid onto your drawing paper. However, this week I'm still going to draw it on the drawing paper because a lot of you will be using sketchbooks and they may be not as transparent as my paper is. So to draw the grid, and this is the grid on any of the papers, what you need is obviously a piece of plain paper and your ruler. And I tend to use inches, so I use 1 inch, 1 inches apart for my grid, but you can also use centimetres, probably about 2 centimetres would be fine. One thing, make sure you start at the 0. And place that on the side of your paper, and then just measure out your 1 inch or 2 centimetre lines along the top, and then the same along the bottom, and join them up. And this is the same way you would draw the grid on the acetate or the grid for underneath your drawing. Then do the same along the top and bottom and join those up. If you're doing this on your actual drawing paper, then you will want the lines to be fairly light so you can erase them afterwards. Now I'm just going to put a few sheets underneath just to give it a good surface to draw on. Now I'm looking at my photo, looking at where the squares are on the grid and where they are on my actual drawing paper. And then I'm just going to match up, like before, where things come within each of the little boxes. The thing you need to think about when you're doing this, just like last week, is whereabouts, how high up on that box does it come, and where does it dissect the line, and how far into the next box does it go. And also think about angles. Fingers, really, you have to think about the angles all the time. And what I hadn't noticed was that only one of these hands that I'm drawing today has got a thumb on it. So you have to really draw what you see and not what you know is there. I mean, we all know that people have thumbs, and all my grandchildren have all their thumbs. So just because you know they're there, if they're not in the photo, then don't draw them. Whenever you're drawing, if you can think of the thing that you're drawing as an abstract shape, in fact, don't think about it. Don't think about what the object is. Just see it in terms of abstract lines and spaces and how one space relates to another. Then it makes it much easier, rather than the panic of thinking, oh, I am drawing a hand, I can't draw hands. Just see it as angles and abstract shapes. And if a hand looks strange in a photograph, it's going to look even stranger in your drawing. Now, the left hand, the one I'm drawing now, looked pretty strange in the photograph, and it equally looks pretty strange in my drawing. The main thing with baby hands is they're quite chubby and they have those gorgeous little dimples sort of by the knuckles. So you have to make sure you get those, and if you put those in, then, and they're quite subtle, then it will automatically make it into a child's hand, a young child's hand, rather than an adult hand. And this one, I think I should have made that top line sort of as it comes, where the fingers come out. I don't know what part you would call that. I should have made that a bit fatter, a bit chubbier, and that bottom bit and the palm the curve could have been a bit shorter, so the distance from the end of the finger to the wrist. These are different ages, but they're all between 0 and 4 years old. And the sleeve and other things all help. And remember that usually when you're doing a drawing, it won't just be a hand. It will have a whole body attached, and so the emphasis won't be so much on the hand itself. But if you can make realistic looking hands, it does make your pictures come alive a lot more. So I hope you've enjoyed watching me draw the hands and that you will have a go. Next week I will do a hand self-portrait. Thank you for watching, and see you next Sunday at 15:30. Please like, share and subscribe to see more. Bye!